Hey, Rob Brinded here, episode number 5 of the Masterless podcast. These are my ramblings, my thoughts on how to resolve things in your body, in your mind, how to get results, how to change your life, how to change the deep programs that create your reality. And it's all about getting results. So I wanted to just put my thoughts down about what I'm seeing with particular situations where someone gets much worse and maybe consciously wants to get better, either physically or mentally, but just things keep going wrong or keep like mishapping, things just keep going wrong. Okay, so some examples. I had a client who was diagnosed with a certain cancer of the pancreas, and what I've noticed with people who get pancreatic cancer, and I've dealt with several clients with pancreatic cancer, is one, it's a very serious cancer of the pancreas, and the pancreas and the gallbladder and the spleen area. If you look at it in the anatomy books, there's a lot of bitterness involved with that area of the body. What I mean by that is, what I've noticed, people who are extremely bitter, well, the people who I've worked with, there's been a lot of bitterness in the family. So one lady I was speaking to recently just immediately was bitter about the doctors, bitter about the diagnosis, bitter about someone in her family close. It was just bitterness. And so bitterness, if you look at it, if you just observe and with kind of first-hand observation, you'll see that bitterness is when you're angry with others. So you're blaming others for a certain situation. It becomes super toxic, instead of realizing that everything outside of you is just a reflection of internal wounds. So if you get angry about something, and you keep blaming someone for something, you're not taking responsibility. So it becomes extremely toxic for the body, that type of emotional pattern. And you'll find that when you feel into the energy of those organs, it's usually going to be, it can be referred from the liver, gallbladder, spleen, kidneys. It could be anywhere, but it's oftentimes that, especially the liver and the gallbladder. And then the pancreas just gets, just gets it and gets extremely weakened. And so the energy, the way I see things and the way that gets results is, what happens is we get emotional disturbances, which is an energy in the body, and then that stops the flow of natural energy in the body. So the meridians or the energy lines become slow, and so it starts to stagnate, and then it blocks, then it congests. Things start to congest in the area, then it becomes inflamed, then it becomes infected, and then it becomes infested with yeast, fungus, parasites, bacteria, viruses, and etc. And that's when you'll get cancer. So it's removing the blockages that initially came, and maybe they were decades ago, that have created this situation. Now, you can also have that for someone who really starts to get dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. It's when, especially Alzheimer's, it's when the hamster wheels, those deep programs. So first of all, the gallbladder is bitterness. So that bitterness becomes speeded up. So you become more and more bitter about loss or letdown. Support and letdown is a hamster wheel, very much associated with bitterness when it starts to spin and becomes out of control. Yeah, so you just get more and more bitter. It spins and energizes that. The thoughts energize that energy. It just becomes out of control, and then you get sick. If someone's a fighter, I've talked about this before. If someone fights everything's a fight, and they're a fighter, well, you're just going to attract more and more things to fight until what life is trying to do, the universe is trying to send you something to show you to stop fighting, that you can't fight life. And that's when you get a serious illness that you can't fight, like cancer. You're not, everyone goes, yeah, I'm going to fight cancer. What does that actually, that's not nonsensical. You need to understand why that cancer's come up, and it's showing you that you're helpless. But fighters don't, at all costs, don't want to feel helpless, but that's why they attract it. And then, as I was talking about with the sort of more of a mental thing, when I was talking to someone recently, and maybe do another whole podcast about that. I was, someone, one of the in-laws, is fascinating, but they're everything that they do in the, so we know, and I've talked about this before, about when you're in the software that's created in childhood, you create these patterns where you become, you're searching really fundamentally for your needs to be met, but you do it through being valuable, status, acknowledgement, recognition. But valuable, you're trying to be valuable because you didn't get connection in childhood, or love and belonging. And so you create these hamster wheels, which are inevitable failures. You cannot get what you need out of those because they were created very early in childhood. And what you'll find is people who seem cursed, like everything they do is wrong, or they just keep getting more sicker and sicker, or more and more depressed, is because they're going even harder into the hamster wheel instead of stopping and watching their behavior and understanding these. Well, they just don't know about the hamster wheels. But I've worked with people who are so invested in their hamster wheel, so invested in being valuable, or they think that the only way to get love, connection, belonging is through the hamster wheel. They energize it even more. That's when you get people starting to check out, because they'll either get something really physically wrong with them, and just it's just accentuated, it just reinforced, or what they will do is they will start to check out of that hamster wheel, either through addictions, drugs and stuff, but mentally, on a mind level, they will go into the past or the future. They will check out, they won't be present, and they will spend more and more time forgetting about their lives because they don't want to be in the hamster wheel. So forgetting and false tools like forgetting, numbing, suppressing, shutting down, what happens is you become a professional at forgetting, and you get dementia. So there's an increase in dementia. You could say, yeah, there are physical things, but I think there's a massive increase in information and things to this we're connected so much that we're disconnecting at an equal level, disconnecting from reality because we can't deal with the hamster wheel. We don't know how to deal with it. And everyone on some level, if you watch really closely, you that are listening, you'll be doing this. You'll zone out, and then you'll come back and go, oh, or let's say you're driving in a car and you zone out, and then you've gone 30 miles and you weren't even aware of it, but you were on autopilot. Well, autopilot is what most people live their life through, but it just becomes gray secondhand. You're living in the past or the future, looking for pleasure, fantasizing about what could be, and that zoning out it becomes secondhand. So we start to get increased need for pleasure, addictions, food, whatever, or we start to spend even more time zoning out until you get to a certain age. And then, if you look at most people, they are not present. That's a fact. And some people, like I don't normally work with people like that because they're not really taking responsibility, but sometimes they do. And you can't keep their attention for more than 30 seconds, a minute. And so when they're in real pain is when they will be present, because they will be desperate. The pain of their normal life and the the discomfort and pain they have to actually look at and take responsibility is outweighed. So I suppose just to kind of sum it up is there's there's two ways to go. You either wake up, so the sort of the red pill, or you go back into the hamster wheel. There's no way out of that hamster wheel. The more energy you put into it, the more energy you're going to get on the other side, which is what you don't want. And that is just how it is. If you look closely, that's what you'll see in your own and don't trust me, just verify this for yourself. If you watch very closely, the more effort you put into shaping something based on your mental thoughts that are coming up, you just spin around on a hamster wheel, and you'll have a moment of hope, and then it will go wrong, or you just won't stick to something, or the marketing won't work, or whatever. You have to step out that 1 and 0. You have to become aware of the programs, and in doing so, you will free yourself from them. If you continue into them, you will reinforce them, and the more you reinforce them, the more they compound, and you're going to get whatever it is. It's not good. It's just not. There's no solution there. So it's beautiful, because we all have. You can do it right now, right from this moment on. You go, you know what? I'm going to find out about myself, my programs, and I do that by becoming aware of the thoughts that are coming up and looking for patterns in them. That's what I do. You don't have to, but you have to just observe them, understand them, and in understanding them, you free yourself. If you are interested in freedom, if you're interested in Bitcoin or other types of freedom, then, and you're not looking at this, you're trapped. You're completely imprisoned. So, especially Bitcoin, if you're into Bitcoin, you need to now start to observe your own behavior, because the ultimate freedom is this. And if you feel scared that, well, yeah, but I have all these goals and everything, no, doesn't mean you stop living or anything. It's just become aware that you are actually, in fact, imprisoned and controlled by the slave master, which is the mind. Understand why that is. It's just innocent. It's just programs that worked at one time, but they don't work anymore. And all you have to do is proof of work. Observe them, and they will dissolve. And that is why we are here, is to resolve things. So I'll stop talking. If you have any questions or anything, I'd love to hear them. Pop them down. I do get them. And if you'd like to connect with me and ask me questions, you can go to school.com/masterless meditation, and I post there most days, and I answer questions. So be great to see you there. I also have free courses there, so you might want to check those out. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day. Bye-bye.